Hi everybody, welcome back. It's me again showing you another video on how to do today's work. Hope you guys are all doing well, hanging in there, dealing with all this stay-at-home stuff. So today's worksheet is another day of slide and divide and factor X. You can see on the worksheet that there are 8 problems. There are 3 levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. I'm going to be working the first one of each level. So I'm going to work number 1, and I'm going to work number 4, and then I'm going to work number 7. You are expected to do number 2 and 3, number 5 and 6, and number 8 the same way that I'm showing you how to do them, just like I showed you how to do yesterday's. If you don't feel like you need to watch the whole video, you're not required to, but you are expected to show me work for 2, 3, 5, 6, and 8. If you do decide to watch the video, I suggest that you watch me do number 1, then you do 2 and 3, then pause it, watch number 4, then do 5 and 6, and another pause after 7, and do question number 8. So let's get started with question number 1. On question number 1, the first thing you want to do is check if it's in standard form. So I'm going to look at the exponents: 3x squared, power of 2, 21x, power of 1, 36, no exponent or power of 0. Since it's going from the highest exponent 2 down to 1 down to 0, that is standard form. The next thing I want to check is if there is a GCF, a number that will go into 3 and into 21 and into 36. And I can think of something that does that. 36 will go divide by 3, and 21 will divide by 3, and of course 3 will divide by 3. So I'm going to divide all 3 of these by 3. 3 is my GCF, so it's going to hang out on the side. And then I'm going to have 3 divided by 3, which is 1, so I'll have x squared left over. Then I have 21 divided by 3, which is 7, so I will have 7x left over. And then I have 36 divided by 3, which is 12. So I have 12 left over. After I write that, then I have a 1 in front of my x squared. Once there's a 1 in front of the x squared, you can use factor x. On factor x, 12 will go on top and 7 will go on bottom. What can I multiply to get 12 that I can also add to get 7? Well, that's 3 and 4. So I'm going to change these parentheses into 2 parentheses, and I'm going to take my positive 3 into this first parentheses, x plus 3, and I'm going to take my positive 4 into the second parentheses, x plus 4, and I can't forget my GCF that I took out on my first step. I'm going to keep that. He's going to hang out at the beginning, not be lost. You can see that I have shown all my work and I've gotten this correct answer. That's what you need to do on number 2 and 3. Show your work and get the matching answers that I've already shown you what you should get. Next, we're going to move to the level 2 question, number 4. So first thing I do is check if it's in standard form. Highest exponent is 2. The next one has an exponent of 1. The last one has no exponent, so it is in standard form. Then I'm going to check my numbers, 6, 1 in front of x, and 12. There's not a common factor that goes in 6 and 1 and 12 that's higher than 1, so I don't factor out a GCF. I'm going to go straight to slide and divide on this question. So I'm going to slide my 6 over to the 12. 6 times 12 is 72. This is a negative 12, so I'm going to have negative 72. So my first number is x squared plus x minus 72. Now that I have 1 in front of my x squared, now I can use the factor x. So on my factor x, I'm going to put my 72 on top and my 1 on the bottom. The 1 is what's in front of this x. There's a 1 in front of this x. And I need to find something that I can multiply to get 72. That will also add to get 1. Don't forget that this is a negative 72. So that means one of my numbers on the side needs to be negative. The two numbers that I can multiply to get 72, but will also add to get positive 1 are 9 and negative 8. So I'm going to take this positive 9 and I'm going to move it into some parentheses over here, x plus 9. And then I'm going to take this negative 8 and move it into parentheses over here, x minus 8. Now, just because I finished the factor x does not mean that I'm done. Since I slid the 6 on the first step, I have to go back and undo sliding that 6. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to divide 6 and divide 6 on the ends. Once you write that, you have fractions that need to be reduced. So I'm going to reduce those fractions. 9 over 6 reduces to 3 over 2. And negative 8 over 6 reduces to negative 4 over 3. When I end that step and I notice that I still have fractions, I'm going to take those bottoms and move them up to the front of x. That's my last step, bottoms up. When I do that, I get 2x plus 3 and 3x minus 4, which is the pre-written answer that I already had. So good job to myself. I got the answer that was already pre-printed. All right, now I'm ready to work the level 3 question. This is the first time that I've assigned to you a question that will have a GCF. It will also have slide and divide, factor x. So you're going to put everything we've been doing the last 2 weeks into number 7 and number 8. First thing you want to do, as usual, is look at the exponents, x squared, x, no x, so it's in standard form. After it's in standard form, you look at the numbers 8 and 22 and 6, and you have to find the greatest common factor that goes in all three of them. 6 will not go into 22 and 8. The next highest thing that goes into 6 is a 3. 3 will go into 6, but not into 22 and 8. So the next highest thing that goes into 6 is 2. 2 will go into 22 and 2 will go into 8. So I'm going to do a GCF. I'm going to factor a 2 from each one of these. When I do that, my 2 goes in front of the parentheses and I divide. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I've got 4x squared. And then 22 divided by 2 is 11, so plus 11x. And finally, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So I took out the GCF, but the thing in front of x squared is not a 1, so I'm not ready to do factor x. What can we do instead of factor x? We learned how to slide and divide. So I'm going to take that beginning number 4, and I'm going to slide it to the end to give me a 1 in front of the x squared. I can't forget about this 2. So this 2, he's just going to keep coming down with the problem. 2 is coming down here. But my slide that I just did, the 4x that's sliding to the end, now I'm going to have x squared in the front plus 11x. And now with my slide, I have negative 12 at the end. Now that I have a 1 in front of the x squared, now I can try the factor x. Negative 12 on top and 11 at the bottom. This is kind of like the question yesterday that threw some of you guys off. 3 times 4 gets 12, but not 11. 6 times 2 gets 12, but not 11. Don't forget that you can multiply 1 and 12. I'm going to end up having to use negative 1 times 12 to get my negative 12 at the top. And when I add negative 1 plus 12, I can get this 11 on the bottom. So I'm going to take the two sides of my factor x, and I'm going to put them in the parentheses, x minus 1 and x plus 12. But I'm still going to bring down this GCF that I took out at the very beginning. This 2 is still going to just keep coming down. To get these two parentheses, I had to start way back here and I had to slide the 4. If you slide, you must come back and divide. So now I'm going to divide both of my ends by the 4 that I slid just a moment ago. Once you slide, you have to reduce. So 1/4 doesn't reduce, so I'm going to have x minus 1/4 still. But 12/4 does reduce to 3, so x plus 3. And once again, my GCF from the beginning of this problem is still coming down. This has a bottom. X minus 1/4 has a bottom. So we're going to need to do that step where you do bottoms up. So this 4 is going to come to the front of that x. I'm still bringing down my GCF of 2, still bringing it down. I'm going to go actually under this answer to show you how to write it. I'm going to bring down that 2. That's been coming all the way down ever since I took out a GCF. Now I'm bringing this bottom up. So that's going to give me 4x minus 1. And 3 doesn't have a bottom, so there's nothing to bring up. I'm going to have x plus 3. Now, if you've been paying close attention, you're going to notice that I just got 4x minus 1 first and x plus 3 second. On the answer that I pre-typed, x plus 3 was first and 4x minus 1 is second. It doesn't matter which order you write those in. If I had gone all the way back to my factor x and I had put 12 on this side and -1 on this side, my written answer would have matched this type answer. It doesn't matter which side of the factor x you put it on, as long as you have all 3 of these parts in your final answer. Okay, guys, good luck with doing the 5 problems that you have to do. Don't forget, you can call me on the telephone. You can get on Zoom and we can talk that way. You can send me a text through Remind, or you can email me. I am here to help you get these problems correct. And don't forget that tomorrow is the end of the middle of 4th quarter already. So you need to be checking Infinite Campus and making sure everything is up to date. Send me an email if you have questions about Infinite Campus.